Welcome to Roguecast, the official podcast of Rogues Gallery Comics and Games in Round Rock, Texas, where we talk about comics, games, and other stuff on our pop cultural radar. I'm Randy.
I am Nick.
This is Dave.
And this is our spooky Halloween podcast.
Are you going to add special effects and stuff to that later, Randy?
I have no skills in that area.
Some thunder and stuff and screams.
No, you're going to have to provide your own thunder and screams.
What Randy's talking about supplying around means that Dave will come to your house.
Yep. You know when I shrieked right there, and if somebody was listening to it on headphones, I bet they're like, F this guy.
Yep, that's probably true.
He dies.
Yep, people hate you now.
Just hate Dave, don't hate me.
They hated me before.
But we're going to start with a comic that came out a couple of weeks ago, and by the time you hear this, hopefully there will be a second printing on the way, because it sold out fairly quickly for us. Afterlife with Archie.
Wow, did I not ever see liking this comic?
Me neither. I wouldn't have guessed it.
So, Archie plus zombies.
Plus zombie apocalypse, yeah.
And here's the thing. If you're kind of in your mind's eye when we say that, if you're envisioning the usual Archie cartoon style that just happens to have zombies and, Jughead's running and he's like, oh no, I dropped my sandwich, darn these zombies.
Take a magic eraser and erase that.
Yeah.
It's not that. This is a reinterpreted Archie to begin with.
It's not for kids.
It is not for kids. It carries actually... there's like a rated teen plus for violence and mature content.
Yep.
Now, it is not... There's no swearing in it or anything like that. But for Archie, it feels pretty dark.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it is almost like a real-world Riverdale.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right. All the characters are have a little bit more depth to them, and... I actually, this is crazy, but there were some scenes in there I thought were kind of touching.
Yeah. The character stuff is actually good. It's written by Robert Aguirre-Sacasa, who has done a lot of stuff for Marvel, but who first came to prominence, first got noticed because he did a play that had Archie and Jughead as gay lovers, I believe.
Right.
So
I've never seen much on this, but I don't think it was like it's a wacky comedy.
No,
it was just probably like exploring in a more nuanced way. I think he's probably gay, right?
I don't know.
He's a playwright.
It's fair guess.
That is not a mean joke.
He is legitimately a giant Archie fan. He discussed this in the back, in a little write-up in the back of the issue, that he's a big Archie fan and a big horror fan, and when he pitched this, he thought there was no way that they would go for it, and in fact, they just embraced it. But
Archie's been doing all that stuff in the last few years. I was talking about it with a customer the other day, and it's like, how is it that Archie Comics has gotten kind of impressively progressive?
It is.
But they have.
Yep.
It is.
And here's the thing. I don't think any of us are, by any stretch of the imagination, a fan of Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa's work in general.
No.
He has been sometimes solid on books, but really grabbed us. But I really liked this.
I really liked this, too. I think this is his wheelhouse.
It's the thing he was born to write.
And Francesco Francavilla does the art. Francavilla, we talked about before. He's one of my favorite artists. He's done a ton of stuff. You've seen his covers because he's done covers for everybody.
I don't know how the man does it.
I don't either.
That he does like 20 covers plus
like 3 books a month.
Two books with full interior. I'm like, do you have a family?
Plus, he has his own thing that he writes.
Do you eat?
He's kind of from the Alex Toth style that we've mentioned before, where it's sort of heavy on shadows. It's also got some of the European qualities to it. He signs his pages, I noticed, which is a very European thing.
Yeah, I saw that.
But there doesn't in the credits. There's no colorist. There's no
he did all the colors.
He does everything.
He does everything.
Yeah,
and that's impressive.
So here's what I was going to ask. Am I correct that this was sort of spawned out of he did like a cover for Archie or some artwork on his website or something?
The two of them, the writer and the artist, sort of collaborated on this thing, and they were goofing around.
Right,
and then
like,
they pitched
it'd be like him somebody doing a single pinup to sell at conventions.
Yeah.
That would be like a spooky Archie cover.
Yeah.
And then suddenly somebody's like, we can make a comic out of this.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah, it's a thing that, as I understand, it came together of them like tweeting together or something.
I don't want to be too spoilery, but can I say how it begins?
Yes,
Just to give people a sense of tone.
This is fair, yeah.
Well, actually, the first page is all black and has dripping blood that then spells out the words, "This is how the end of the world begins."
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so you're not getting into standard Archie malt shop.
No.
And in the next page, in colors sort of drenched in blood red, you see a panting person carrying a injured animal up to a house, and it turns out it is Jughead, whose dog has been hit by a car.
Hot dog
has been hit by a car and is dying.
Yep.
And he has gone to Sabrina,
the teenage witch.
Again, if you're picturing cartoony artwork, don't.
No.
It's not.
No.
It's kind of, it's all a little bit scary looking.
It is creepy.
And he's basically just asked her to use their magic to help.
Save the dog, yeah.
And you can see, since this is a zombie comic, you can guess that it kind of goes wrong.
Right.
But I like the way it goes wrong, because Sabrina lives with 2 older witches, and they're like, no, we can't bring him back.
She disobeys.
And she disobeys because...
And normally, I'm sure on the old TV show and in the comics, it probably would have led to wacky hijinks.
Yeah.
Here it accidentally leads to patient zero.
Because it's more real-world-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, as
Jughead basically... He makes sort of, when she says something about how much he loved hot dog, she says something about how much she loves her familiar Salem, her talking cat, and that gets her thinking, and that spars. So all this comes out of a place of sort of wanting to help your friend.
Well, and I noticed he has to bury his dog, and she like, as an example of how the sort of realism, she's like, I can't help you dig. She's like, hot dog's yours, he belongs to you, each buries his own.
Yeah.
This is not standard Archie dialogue.
No.
It's really pretty good.
Yeah.
And when the ants get mad at Sabrina...
they turn scary.
They turn
very scary.
You remember at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark when the Nazis think they're seeing angels flying around them, and that one flies up to that dude and turns all skull-faced and horrific?
Yep.
That's what they look like when they get mad at Sabrina.
Yeah. But there's that. Then there's stuff. Then it goes to Archie and the dance and stuff like that, and it's very.
And there's great side.
But even that, it's
there.
like Betty and Veronica fighting over him. Even that is a little more mature.
Yep.
She's talking. She's like, "Hey Archie, do you want me to dress as sexy witch or sexy gypsy?" And it's the kind of conversations you don't normally quite get in Archie. It's just a little turned up.
Yeah, it's a little turned up, and and yet
the characters feel true to probably how they are.
What they give Reggie is sort of a darker thing. It's really good. It's one of these things where, if you know the Archie characters, it really hits home. But if you didn't know them, it's still just a good story.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say, I myself am kind of zombied out. That is not my favorite thing at the moment. But this play on it is so good.
Yeah.
It is that good.
There's also...
that I'm just... I want the second issue right now.
That's how I felt.
Yeah, me too.
There's
I was very pleased with this.
A couple of the characters who I think are lesser-known characters I don't know that well.
Yeah, they're the nerdy guys.
The nerdy guys. And they're comparing... they're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and one of them, as the conversation jumps in, he's like, Dream Warriors and New Nightmare are the only sequels you can take seriously. The rest are, well, garbage is too strong a word, but... And so they have these sort of Scream-like meta conversations, but it's reasonable conversations.
Yeah.
And a reasonable opinion, because those are two of the best.
It's actually kind of true. Yeah.
But yeah, this is, I kind of thought, even as much as I love Francavilla, I was sure this was going to be, a fun diversion maybe, but...
It's going to be...
I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I did.
It's going to be beautiful artwork, and that's about it.
But it's really good.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's up there. I mean, I would say that for fans of Walking Dead, if you like the sort of character drama interacting with zombies... This is pretty good.
There is a certain level of humor in it, in that it is subverting what is the kind of clean cut nature of Archie.
Yeah, sure.
And some of the stuff in it that happens in it is kind of amusing on that level, but there's no wacky hijinks.
No,
it just
not
doesn't
at all.
do that. So yeah, I think it was my pick this week on our shelves.
Yep.
What else we got?
Well, then we're moving on to the other big zombie thing of the moment, which is the Walking Dead TV show. Which, as we record this, Season 4 will have started. As of right now, none of us have seen it. And Dave, I believe, is still in early Season 3.
Correct, yeah. I'm without cable, so I just catch this stuff on Netflix.
Which is not uncommon, but I think a lot of people are doing that.
And but the kind of nice thing for me is, when the new stuff is hitting for everybody else, I'm watching the old stuff, so... Yeah. They get their clever marketing synergy.
Yeah.
I get hyped up for zombies and Walking Dead stuff the same time as everybody else, even though I don't have characters.
Yeah.
And I don't know, what are y'all's broad opinions on the show? I think y'all aren't really, like, Randy's...
I love it, and then I hate it. It just, there were episodes, especially in this third season early on, where I was super into.
Yep.
And then by the end of it, I was done with the show again. And I've been that every season. I start off really liking it, then I'm done with it.
I watched the first season. I was done with it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nick never returned.
No, I never returned to it.
But Nick, as we know, you're not a big zombie fan, and this is traditional zombies. Wouldn't you say, Dave?
Traditional in the sense of Romero zombies.
Yeah. And it's weird. I really like Dawn of the Dead, but something about Walking Dead I just can't plug into.
And the interesting thing for me is, although I did follow the comic early on, I fell off of it at some point, and I haven't felt a strong desire to return.
Yeah.
I think some of Kirkman's writing quirks and some of the... Oh, he's never going to end this, is he?
Yeah.
Thing, and maybe even repetition of the one horrible situation the characters stumble into after another.
Yeah.
Kind of led me to fall off the book. But I'm enjoying the show more, I think, because the longtime horror fan in me just likes the visual realization of zombies. I think they do some pretty amazing stuff visually with it. An example would be in the beginning of the second season, there's an amazing, 15, 20-minute opening where they're trapped in, a big traffic jam of, old, stalled, long-dead cars on the highway. And there's what they call a herd of zombies, which is hundreds of zombies traveling sort of as a pack, passes through the area, and they all sort of take cover and just try and stay out of sight. It's like a 20-minute stealth sequence of the show, and it's something they really couldn't have done in the comic. A manga could maybe do it because it would require so much cinematic tension being drawn out.
Yeah.
But I was like, that was an amazing scene. And season 3 opens with a pretty cool scene of... it's clear that the group has kind of gotten their stuff together at this point. Yeah. And you see them, scrounging for supplies, again, without no dialogue in this, as they just kind of make their way through a house, quietly kill the zombies in it, like they've done it, a dozen times or more. And I was like, okay, pretty good opening. Not as cool as The Herd, but a good opening. Yeah. I think I kind of go into it with maybe lower expectations than you do, Randy. You do watch a lot more TV. Yeah. But I sort of knew, I had actually heard some of the negative stuff on it, like, oh my god, Rick's wife does such dumb things. Yeah. Or, any given character you might say has done some kind of stupid things. Yeah. If I can watch a character in a scene and think, I could imagine somebody doing this. Yeah. I think sometimes people actually overestimate themselves a lot when they're watching horror movies and they think, oh, I'd be all calm and collected and, I'd call the police immediately and I'd have a weapon. And I'm like, in the real world, if you don't I don't think people are as calm and collected.
No, I think that's fair. I think a lot of the problem came with is the characters act in a way and that not only are they being human, and people are okay with them being human, but they act like it's dramatically human. It's like the worst possible thing they could do for the best dramatic effect. Right. And that becomes annoying.
Right. And I get that. I've already seen that a few times in this couple episodes I've seen. It's not a series I think is great, but I find it very watchable.
It is very watchable.
And I think it's part of it is just I'm a bigger horror fan, or maybe overall. I don't know, Nick, you enjoy a lot of horror.
I do.
But I'm maybe just more of a horror and zombie fan.
Zombie fan. If you're not a zombie fan, I mean, this is traditional zombie stuff. It's survival horror. It's other humans are as much of a danger as zombies are. I mean, this is the kind of thing we've seen.
Dave is a zombie fan. I'm a vampire fan. Pretty much, I think. I like vampires a lot.
Even though vampires feel like they got so played out in the last 20 years?
Yeah. I'm still a big fan of vampires.
What was the most recent vampire thing you saw?
I still like vampire movies.
Movie-wise, I don't know if
What was that one that Wes Craven did, 10 years ago or something?
Dracula 2000?
Yeah!
You say that. I saw that in theaters and I owned it.
But Nick, what was the last good vampire movie you saw that you liked?
See, the movie's
Fright Night remake?
The Fright Night remake was fun.
That was pretty fun. Yeah. I never saw it, but Stakeland was another vampire movie.
I didn't see that one, but the Fright Night one was good.
Did you ever see that Russian movie? What was it called?
What, Night Watch?
Night Watch, yeah. That was a sort of stealth vampire
Night Watch and Day Watch were both pretty good.
Yeah. I still need to see Daywatch. But anyway, what I was going to say is, it does have these missteps, but where in the comic I sometimes felt like I would read an issue and I was just like, it's just these people yelling at each other the whole time. Yeah. I feel like the show, at least for me, is more cognizant of that. Okay. And I feel like I'm hitting more zombie threats, entertaining zombie deaths, gory scenes, and stuff like that. They're playing a little bit more to the expectations of the genre, which is creepy, gross zombie stuff. And I feel like I get a bit more of that in the show, and it's just one of the things that makes it a little more palatable when I'm like, all right, enough with the character BS.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
I have to ask, though, going back on what you said where, you said manga could do zombies better.
Correct.
Has there ever been a zombie manga?
There have been. I mean, High School of the Dead and...
I just didn't know if there was one sort of dedicated Walking Dead or Dawn of the Dead.
Romero zombies are an American tradition.
Yeah.
In Japan, they're more likely to have supernatural aspects to zombies going on, and somewhat more convoluted premises, like the demon in hell who controls the zombies is a player in the story.
Right.
They're going to get a bit more exotic with it. I tend to think.
I just didn't know if there had been any
nothing I can think of, but I think
I do think there probably stuff that we don't know about probably is percolating, and I would enjoy seeing that a more traditional, American Romero style take on zombies via manga.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm enjoying the season so far.
Well, it's Halloween time. We thought we might also talk about a few of these sort of, Halloween traditions, stuff that we watch, stuff that we do. Is anybody dressing up this year?
No. Actually, no, I might, mainly for our store thing that we've got coming up.
Which
it's
you
funny,
will...
I have always... What?
Well, it'll be over by the time they hear this podcast.
That's right. We'll be long dead.
Yep.
No. I'm a guy who likes dressing up in theory, almost never actually does it.
Yeah, I'm usually that guy too.
But I'm also a guy who doesn't like to really go out to parties a whole lot.
I've fallen in with a group of people who love Halloween to the exclusion. They're like, Christmas is nothing. They love Halloween. All my friends love Halloween, and one of my friends, Kayla, throws this giant Halloween party every.
Fallen in like I've fallen in with drug runners.
It is like that. She throws this big Halloween party every year, and you sort of have to bring your A game there to that, because it was like, I swear it was like going to a TV Halloween party. It's like everybody had
great
cool costumes.
Yeah. I've seen pictures and stuff from these, and it's pretty amazing.
And so last year I went as a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, which didn't turn out as well as I would have liked, but it turned out okay. This year, if all goes well, I've got somebody making me a Tenzin from Last Airbender of Korra,
right?
Which will be a ton of fun if I can pull it off.
Yeah. I'm trying. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I will be doing. If I do anything, I will do like some fun store-bought costume.
Yeah.
I'm considering Super Mario.
What was y'all's favorite costume like growing up, like that you did as a kid or a teenager, or what was your favorite costume you remember?
One of the most memorable ones I have is actually dressed up as Raphael from the Ninja Turtles.
Nice.
Full on costume with the sai and everything.
Were they plastic size?
It was.
No, real.
Well,
I wouldn't have the real size until later. No, they were plastic size. They had the red bandages on them because it was Raphael. Because he was my favorite turtle.
I posted a little bit about this on Facebook the other day, asking people about childhood costumes. My memorable one was one where I dressed up as the Grim Reaper.
This is the one you built, or you put together yourself.
Partially.
Right?
My mom had many years prior, back in like the 70s or early 80s, you know the Jawas from Star Wars?
Sure.
So she had made a Jawa costume for my brother, which was basically like this heavy brown sort of felt thing, which actually had like this interior black lining, so it was like very shadowy on the inside. And it was pretty cool. You felt like you were in like a medieval cloak when you wore it.
Nice.
And I had a skull mask under that was actually based on the Halloween 3 Season of the Witch Silver Shamrock.
Okay.
If for people who've seen the movie, the masks are, of course, a big plot element. Silver Shamrock is the big mask company that sells these masks that have a horrible secret. And I had the skull one from there. And I made a Reaper's scythe out of like an old broken broomstick with a cardboard, blade on it that I wrapped in foil. So I got both I had some store-bought stuff in there. I had the cool cloak my mom made, and I got to enjoy making the Reaper side.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was a scary monster.
See, I have the costume that I made was actually a few years ago, in my 20s or 30s or something like that, and it was a Doctor Strange costume where I bought a store.
I
bought a costume. I added a collar using some cardboard and some fabric. I bought a cape. That's what I made. The
I have
cape.
to say that was a great costume.
And I did a marker on a blue shirt that I bought. It was
the distinctive Doctor Strange symbol.
Yeah, it was like a orderly shirt, like from a hospital shirt. And that was blue, was what I needed. And I did the gray temples, and it worked out pretty well. I was very pleased with the way that costume came out. That was the only one I built that I've been happy with. Usually when I build a costume, it disappoints, which is why I've sort of I'm like, I'll have other people build costumes for me, but I won't build my own anymore.
I must quite have the crafty gene.
No. But my favorite costume as a kid, my mom used to sew costumes. She'd get the patterns and stuff. And my mom made a Yoda costume that I remember had sort of plush feet and all this other stuff. And I'm sure it looked kind of horrible, but, as a kid, I'm sure it was cute. And I remember it because as a kid, I thought it was the coolest thing in the world.
Did you hop around like Yoda when he fought like...
That didn't happen when I was a kid. When I was a kid, Yoda was just an old little Muppet.
But he was the beloved sensei for a generation.
Yes, he was.
Legendary sensei. What about other Halloween traditions?
Well, I know you guys both watch movies.
Right.
Yes.
You're not as big a horror guy.
I'm not as big. And honestly, while I love Halloween, I'm not as big a Halloween guy. Like, Halloween is like a month-long celebration for a lot of my friends. Yeah. And for me...
there's like multiple things I love about it. I love the, the increasingly darkening skies. I love the cool weather that hits. All these blood orange sunsets.
And I
stuff
hate
like
the
that.
weather.
And Randy wants it to be a scalding Texas summer for all time.
Yes.
No,
or at least warmer than 80 degrees out.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So all of that stuff combined with the fact that I, make a point to marathon horror movies and definitely, my brother was the one who introduced me to horror, so he was the one who got me involved in that tradition, and it's always been a fun thing for me.
Yeah.
And that's mostly what it is to me. Like, to some people, like, a lot of people when they dress up, it's more like a masquerade, like a fun thing to do. And it's not necessarily about being scary at all.
You don't view Halloween as one day. You view it as 31 days of Halloween.
I do.
It's like the 12 days of Christmas.
That's true. I mean, it is. It's sort of one of those times where you can kind of get together with friends, watch movies one day, indulge in a good horror novel. Then,
Did you say horror novel?
I said horror.
No. But it's actually somewhat true. I suppose Halloween would be my favorite holiday. Even though I don't always go crazy all out, but I do pretty much from the first day of October to the last, I am trying to do something Halloween related, scary, read a scary book, watch a scary movie every single day.
Yep. And I just I try to go to a party that my friends are throwing and take my kids trick or treating.
He just tries to endure it.
No, I love Halloween. I just don't love it as much as my friends do.
Right.
But it's fun. And there's what are some of the movies you guys are watching this year?
Well, you told me, Nick, that y'all watched that movie
Mama,
right?
Which we're going to catch soon.
Yep. So we won't talk in depth.
No, we'll talk about that on a later podcast.
I know I'm about to throw a sort of a Halloween movie watching party, hopefully next week, and catch some.
We're showing some friends some stuff that they
have not seen, and hopefully will not
including
be too
the
scary.
Classic, The Lost Boys. It's so cool.
I do love The Lost
Boys. Is an amazing movie.
And it is not really a scary movie.
No,
although it was rated R, so it has a bit of edge to it.
Yeah.
But it's such a great mashup of comedy, kind of kid action adventure, and horror.
Plus, Kiefer Sutherland was a vampire.
Kiefer Sutherland was scary in those days.
It was.
Yeah.
That was his Stand By Me. But that was when he mostly played villains.
Yeah.
And I also I think we're going to show him John Carpenter's Halloween.
Yes, a classic.
Yep.
Some friends who they haven't grown up with the big horror tradition, and so we're trying to.
I believe your girlfriend even said she would watch Halloween.
Really?
I got her to say yes to that.
That's impressive.
And I'm not going to rewatch it this year, but last year I finally watched Trick or Treat, the anthology movie that they did, and that's a fun little movie.
It's also
like
very Halloween.
Oh yeah,
I mean it's just steeped in Halloween lore and stuff like that. It's an old school anthology like Creep Show and stuff like that. If you grew up with that.
Mm-hmm.
One of our customers was talking about going to see the Poltergeist is playing at Flicks across the street from us late in the month, and I think I might end up doing that, catching that with some people who haven't seen it. And to me, it was one of the scariest movies I'd seen as a kid. I think that came out in 81?
I think so. Yeah.
So that would put me at 8 years old, I guess. And I remember my brother had seen it at the theater, and it scared the hell out of him. I knew some of the scary stuff in it. And in those days, HBO used to show a new movie once at 7 a.m. in the morning, and then again at 7 p.m. at night. And it came on at 7 that morning, even though it was R-rated. They didn't always do that. I think they felt it was a low-level enough R that they could show it.
Right.
Yeah.
And my brother
was involved.
Right. And my brother and sister watched it, and I had slept out on the couch that night. Very specific memories of this. And I watched it from just where I woke up on the couch and it was coming on. And you would think as the sun is pouring into the house through curtains and stuff like that and lighting it up, you could not be scared, but oh my god. I think the fact that everything in Poltergeist is so suburban, it's all things that could kind of happen in a house.
Yep.
Scared the crap out of me. Loved it.
But so that wraps up our Halloween show. Hope you all enjoy your trick-or-treating later this week, even if you're not trick-or-treating because you're grown adults.
You can scare the kids.
But go scare kids.
No. We also...
Or just go to the grocery store and buy a lot of candy. It's fine.
And I should say that I have heard of the tradition of handing out comics for Halloween.
That's true.
And I think it's a really cool idea. Cool if you have some horror ones, but really anything would be cool.
Yep.
I'd probably, if I were doing this, and I might be house-sitting for my sister, so I might... hand out a little bit of candy so the kids get their sugar fix and don't egg the house.
That's right.
And maybe some comics as well.
Yeah. So we will see you next time. And until then, we'll close our traditional...
Yo-Joe!